Hello everyone, my name is Stephanie, and for this week's assignment, I'm going to be talking about my favorite artist, or one of my favorite artists, and one of my favorite albums and songs. Let me start with my favorite artist, which is The Weeknd. Although he's now going by Able Tesfaye, which is like his birth given name. Um, you might all know him as The Weeknd, but he's a globally recognized artist and has maintained the status of like one of the most prominent figures in the music industry for well over a decade. He was born in Canada, and he was a high school dropout, and he moved in with some friends, and that's when he kind of grew connections with producers, and he created a mixtape and wrote about his experiences, because during this time he was also abusing like alcohol and drugs, so he kind of fell into some bad situations, and I don't know, he kind of just wrote about it. And that's when he released House of Balloons, which is his first mixtape, and it is still very recognized today. It's one of his most recognized works. And then that's when Drake discovered him, and then he got more exposure to a mainstream audience. And now I kind of want to get into his music, which kind of ranges from R&B to now electronic synth music, and his cathartic journey to like reinvention. And as a huge artist, I do think that that's something scary, because you have so many people listening to you, and like you're just like at this like on a spotlight, and you just don't really want to disappoint your listeners, but you also like can't just conform to like what everyone says, but there's just so many people that care. But I do listen to his older music more, like specifically Kissland from his Tokyo tour, but that was released in 2013. But I will say that in those albums he talked more about like tragedy and darkness, and he was in a more depressive state, which is why like that music is darker, and that's why he's spoken that he kind of wants to deter from all that, because he feels like he's on a path of growth, and he doesn't feel that way anymore, so he doesn't really want to talk about that anymore. And it's in my purpose in all like my purpose is to advocate for his meaningful work, which listeners tend to like disregard or forget about just because of his newer work. And yeah, so one of my favorite albums is Renaissance with Beyonce, and I think it was so well done, and it beautifully highlights her versatility. Furthermore, the other reason why I chose this album is because this album in particular, I think, has so many empowering messages to women, the black culture, and the queer culture, with song titles such as like I'm That Girl, Church Girl, or Break My Soul. Like in I'm That Girl, it just sends very empowering messages to girls that like of like confidence and self-assurance, and that we are capable of so much, and it's such a self-assuring song. And it's also important to note that this album plays homage to the black culture and queer culture, but specifically during the Renaissance era, because they had a lot of influence, they had a really huge role in that era, but somehow are always underrepresented. Like they're not really talked about so much, like their influence when we talk about the Renaissance era. And she incorporates different genres of music throughout that whole album, like 80s electropop, like a little bit of country, like slower music, and it just provides a unique experience. Furthermore, I'm advocating for this album due to its empowering messages to young girls in black culture and the queer culture. It sends powerful messages about confidence, self-expression, and freedom, pushing an audience to experiment more with creativity and pursue happiness. Now, jumping from the Beyonce album, I want to go into one of my favorite songs, which is also from Beyonce, and it's Flawless. And it features a clip from Shimamonda's feminist speech, and she's like this Nigerian like feminist who's very recognized today, and she wrote this like it's not like a book, it's like a manifesto on why we should all be feminists, but she basically like grabbed this clip from one of her speeches, and it quotes, "We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you will threaten men." And I just think that it was so cool the way she incorporated that in her song, and she did it so well. Like, it just flows with the song. Like, it doesn't even seem like out of bounds. Like it's perfectly, and like you listen to the song, and it's just very empowering. And I admire her unconventional ways to spread like powerful messages to women, and her impact to the community of black women specifically. So that is why I'm advocating for her.